Welcome back, everybody, to the Yankee and the Brit. This is the Saturday night, Sunday NFL pregame show.
Yeah, we're taking a bit of a different tact at this one to give people actual time to do the betting lines, but also mainly because I've got to be on a coach to Bangkok at the same time that we're doing this tomorrow. So this is our
You need the
pregame show.
bus if you're in the U.S.
Bus.
No, I was just saying, like, coach is the name of a bus over. Like, coach is the name of a company over here.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. It's type of bus here. It's just a big bus,
Right. But like I know I've heard people from overseas they call all the big travel buses coaches, but here like we have Greyhound, we have Coach, they're all those. So it's different name brands. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Honestly, the amount of Americans that go on coach trips, like bus trips around the UK, is pretty funny. And now that they don't call them coaches, that makes it even funnier to me because we call them coach trips, and we often say like, "Oh bloody hell, the new coach trip full of Americans has showed up," and it's like, but it's like you don't even call it a coach, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Considering we take the piss out of you for it.
Actually, if somebody was taking the bus here, even if it was a coach, they'd probably say I'm taking the Greyhound.
All right, okay. Greyhounds are much cooler than coaches, though. Like Greyhounds look sick.
Yeah, except they're dirty, they're smelly, and they're outdated. Where the coaches are nice, double levels, like comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's true.
It's kind of like I always say, it's like cotton swabs are always called Q-tips. I don't know by you, but everybody calls cotton swabs Q-tips in the U.S. Even though it's just a brand name, it's actually what it's been called now. Nobody says cotton swab.
I think we call them cotton swabs of it.
Yeah, and it's Q-tip because that was like the original brand here.
Honestly, just brand names dominate in the States, classic.
Everything's marketing. Everything's marketing.
Yeah. Hence why people think that Josh Allen is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, Maddie, before we get to those point spreads, and let's talk about some news that's going on in the NFL. So rumors are out there leaked from the Tennessee Titans that there's been people who reached out for Derrick Henry, but they're not trading him. For me, that's AKA up the price and we'll give him to you before Tuesday. Yeah. And the Commanders came out and said it takes a second-round pick to get Chase.
And Sweat. Not like
Sweat
together,
makes more
obviously.
sense. Chase just spent his whole career on the IR.
Yeah, when he has been on the team, how much of a difference has he made outside of that first year? That first year, he looked really good. But outside of the first year, but I suppose like coming off injuries is just as bad as being injured sometimes because you're not fully up to scratch just yet. With the Derrick Henry thing, I have also seen rumors that the Tennessee Titans have reached out to teams to test the water on trading Derrick Henry. The Baltimore Ravens seem to be the favorite so far from what I've been reading. The Dallas Cowboys are also thinking about it.
Personally, what's your guess?
I think what it takes is probably a second and maybe a young running back, or maybe a third and a younger running back. So, for example, the offer from the Cowboys would be a third or a second and Deuce Vaughn.
Why do I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like he should be a player that goes for like 2/5.
Yeah, that's where I'm more kind of at with Derrick Henry's value. So Derrick Henry's value is an interesting question because he hasn't been taking as many snaps this year as in previous years. His snap count has been down, especially in the pass game. So, but when he's on the ball, he still looks great. So you don't get that consistent every down back with Derrick Henry. So you're going to have to subsidize him with another really good back. You can't just be a one-back team if you have Derrick Henry in the backfield now. So that means for me, his value is decreased. I think if I was a Super Bowl contender and I felt like I was Derrick Henry away from getting to Super Bowl, I'd probably pay the third or the second. But if I'm a team that's
Buffalo,
against, sorry,
Buffalo.
yeah, Buffalo. They just don't run the ball enough, though. Like, and they have James Cook averages like
Well,
4 or 5 carries.
that's what I meant. Him and James Cook as the 1-2 punch. I thought for Buffalo now you don't have to rely on Allen for everything.
Yeah, that would be nice, but I just don't think in their scheme they run the ball enough. I think they just say like, "Oh, we'll run Josh Allen until the wheels fall off," and it's like, well, that's a terrible way to run a team. Making your quarterback do that, because even the game the other day, James Cook had 62 yards, but on 8 carries or something ridiculous. Like he just didn't get the ball enough at all. So I don't know whether it does make sense. 14 carries, 67 yards. So, I think the Baltimore Ravens is an interesting one because the Baltimore Ravens are a very run-heavy team, and they don't seem to trust their running back. So Gus Edwards has an injury problem and doesn't play enough football. I can't remember who else is.
J.K. Dobbins out every year after a couple.
J.K. Dobbins. Yeah,
every
always
year
out,
I take him in fantasy, and every year this fucker gets hurt. But I always take him late in the draft, thinking if he can stay healthy, and then he doesn't.
Yeah, so you have players like that. You also have interesting teams where they're building something, but you don't quite know like how good it's going to be yet. So also, by the way, the Vikings with Alexander Madison seemingly falling off, although Cam Akers does look pretty decent. The Vikings are a good team. The Cowboys are also a good team. Imagine Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard as your 1-2 punch. That'd be pretty lethal. So there's some teams out there that he makes a lot better. But then you also have teams like Tampa, who are like middling teams, probably have a shot at playoff, but then Tampa doesn't have a running game. So if you give them a run game with Derrick Henry, do they then become a much more likely playoff candidate? And if I'm them, if the offer is a 4th or a 5th, definitely a 5th, I'm in it as well.
I know Vikings fans are most of them don't want him, but some of them have been talking about it in the groups. Another guy though that has requested a trade is Dalvin Cook.
Not getting his time in the
Right,
Jets, and I think
do
I
the
think
Jets give him up for dirt cheap with Minnesota because he signed for less than Minnesota was willing to offer him? Maybe Minnesota calls him up and says, I'll give you some kind of pick swap. You give me your 6th, we'll give you a 5th. Send us over, send Cook back home.
I wonder if Dalvin Cook knew that Breece Hall was going to be fit that this year when he took because you assume that he didn't know.
I think like us, because we talked about, in the fantasy draft, Dalvin's going to start for the first 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think Dalvin thought 3-4 weeks he could take that job or at least become a big role. And Dalvin Cook is not the type of guy you can give the ball 8 times a game to and think something's going to happen. He is more of a 20, 25 times a game running back to get going and that kind of stuff. So I wonder if the Jets are willing to let him go at this point because they're paying him, $5 million or something.
Yeah, I don't think you expect Dalvin Cook to. I don't think you expect Breece Hall to come back and hit the ground running like he did, right? Like, I don't think anybody thought that. Duffy, by taking him in fantasy, played an absolute fucking blinder by doing that straight away. So you get. So I can understand Dalvin Cook's frustration and possibly disappointment. Now, do the Jets send him back to Minnesota in terms of saving face? Do they say to the Titans or like Dalvin Cook for Derrick Henry and see what happens? Dalvin Cook for Derrick Henry in a 5th and see what happens there and see if Derrick Henry is then okay sitting behind Breece Hall.
I kind of feel like the Jets are one of the few teams that are going to be like, we screwed up, let's just move on.
Yeah, I mean, with their front office, they seem pretty switched on right now, but you never know with the Jets. Like, they've been such a poorly run organization for such a long time. Like, does that make a difference? I'm just seeing if Derrick Henry has a no trade clause in his contract
Yeah,
to
I don't
see if
think
he
there's a
gets any
lot of.
say in the matter.
I don't think there's a lot of running backs with no trade clauses.
Yeah, if there was one, it would be Derrick Henry, though.
See, I was thinking if there was one, it would have been Delvin Cook because they bent over for Cook.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the Vikings bent over for Cook when they gave him that deal.
Yeah, people like Zeke and would have had one maybe. Contract notes. This is just the money side of it, but I don't think it's. I think it says that there's no. He doesn't have a no trade clause,
And I know
so
he
they
wanted
can send
out
him
at one
wherever he
point this
wants.
year. I know at one point this year he wanted out. So
Yeah, it's whether he gets to decide where he's getting out to, and whether he's really that bothered. Does he just want out of Tennessee? And what does that mean for Tennessee as well? Because Tennessee are one of the rising teams. Were one of the teams.
well,
Like they were first overall team
we have the
4 years ago.
start of Will Levis coming.
Is Will Levis getting the start in the game this week?
Yep.
Is it because Willis just looks terrible, so you may as well see what you've got with Levis?
Yep.
Yeah. Willis is
Tannehill's not healthy.
Willis is out the league like this year, right?
Yeah, or
as soon as his contract's over.
Or he's riding some practice squad for the next couple of years.
Yeah, somebody's probably going to take a shot on him and say, we'll put you in a practice squad, especially if you're like an AFC North team and you have to play Lamar Jackson, you want a guy like that for the practice squad, right?
Well,
that's not a bad place for him to be.
And then big name players or high drafted players fall out of favor with teams like N'Keal Harry is on the Vikings practice squad. From a first round pick to a practice squad, it happens.
Yeah, he should never have been a first round pick, though.
I agree with that too.
That's the other part of that. Yeah, that's
I agree.
Poor draft. That's poor drafting from the Patriots. But the surprise, poor drafting from the Patriots in an offensive skill position, by the way. But if you have a guy like Malik, you have a guy like Malik Willis who. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you take him, put him on your practice squad, and if he just because you play Lamar Jackson, and then if he actually has something, you can elevate him from there? Because are we totally sold on Kenny Pickett?
How about if
does he become a good gadget player?
What about Chicago Bears, who need to try anything at the quarterback position at this point?
Anything? They've found their man. They've found their guy, Taylor.
I'm starting in fantasy.
The Brave, but yeah.
Well, I don't have a choice. Deshaun Watson's out and Anthony Richardson's on IR.
I like how you've picked him over Gardner Minshew and Matthew Stafford and stuff. I found that quite interesting.
Well, it's because of who Stafford's playing this week. And then also it was Gardner Minshew just is an interception machine. I've started him twice this year. He's killed me.
Yeah, I had the same thing with quarterbacks this week, like trying to decide who to take.
The only thing I got going for me is I'm playing the Canadians, so I hope that helps.
You don't even need to start a quarterback.
I don't want to talk shit and then lose to the Canadian and then have to hear that all season. Like
he got like 17.5 points from his tight end and is still only projected to score 95 points. That's his fantasy team, everybody, just letting you know.
Yeah, and then I just made a decent little trade with Hitman.
Yeah, I saw that. Aaron Jones for
Pierce, straight up.
Tim Pierce. You'll be absolutely fucking fuming if Pierce finally
I wasn't gonna
shows the production.
I would have played Kareem Hunt over Pierce anyway if it would have came down to this week. So that's why I was willing to take the chance on Aaron Jones being healthy.
Yeah, I think Jones is a more solid.
I got to do something.
Yeah, I think Jones is a more solid option throughout the season as a whole anyway. So I don't hate the trade.
Well, let's hit some of these games. Let's start out with the Eagles are traveling to the Commanders. The Eagles are -7, so they're favored by 7 going in. 43.5 over under.
Yeah, I mean the Commanders seem to be blowing things up. After their loss to the Giants, they lost 14-7 last week to the Giants. Look, I just don't see Sam Howell being able to live underneath that Eagles defensive line. I just don't see it. I just don't see him being able to not throw loads of interceptions. And if there's one team you don't want to throw interceptions to, it's this Eagles team because you won't see the ball again for a long time. Like every time you throw an interception, you then won't see the ball for another 10 minutes of game time. So now whether they're converting that into points is another question. The Commanders' red zone defense is actually pretty decent. The amount of sacks that Sam Howell's probably going to take in this game, the amount of pressure he's going to be under is going to be a worry for them. And the Commanders' defense, again, is disappointing. On paper, it looks fantastic. In practice, it's disappointing. So give me the Eagles with the 7.
I'm with you. Give me Eagles -7. They're a better team, but I said this last week, I think. It's time for Riverboat Ron to move on from Washington. Washington just got new owners, so I'm sure at the end of the year they're going to want to bring in their own people. This is a time for Washington to clear house and start over because the Dan Snyder era is done.
Yeah,
maybe Eric Bieniemy gets his first coaching job right there in Washington.
Yeah, I think Eric Bieniemy would be a decent fit. I mean, has his offense really shown anything? But Sam Howell's a much better quarterback than we expected him to be. But that could be down to Eric Bieniemy in the same way that he did for Patrick Mahomes. And it does seem like the Chiefs are missing Eric Bieniemy a little bit on their offensive side of the ball. So, look, like Bieniemy's clearly got fantastic qualities as a coach. I would welcome that hire for the Commanders. But yeah, time to just blow it up and start again. If you're going to blow it up as well, then blow it up. Don't just do it by halves.
People think I hate on Eric Bieniemy because I point out the reasons why he's not a head coach. But he was a Vikings coach. So I'm always for guys from the Vikings at making their way up. And I'm not hating on him, but there's some stuff from when he was a college coach, which I really think has stopped him from being a head coach because it's the second the team hires him, they're going to have to answer all those questions again.
Yeah. And I mean, they have pieces in Washington. It's not like they don't have anything. It's just, it's hold on to your pieces. Hold on to guys like Terry McLaurin if he's wanting to stay, all of that. And just Sam Howell, it looks like they've found a very serviceable quarterback to build around, at least while they're doing this rebuild. I mean, if you fall into one of the top draft positions, Sam Howell's not stopping me from taking a quarterback there, but they've got pieces. It's just time to blow it up. And the Giants look way better with Tyrod Taylor.
I agree. Well, let's talk some Atlanta Falcons going to the Tennessee Titans. On the road, the Falcons are favored by 2 with a 35 over-under.
Is Arthur Smith's job in question? Is just something that I'm putting off here. Just the amount of offensive firepower that they have to then have a 35-point over-under.
I think that
it's crazy to me.
I think Arthur does a great job of making them better than what the sum of their parts should be because of how bad the quarterback play is.
Okay.
He schemes them into points with his running backs and his skilled guys. And I feel like his scheme is actually what gets them points more than Ritter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's when you have guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and you don't just say you're allowed to throw the ball up to them and every now and again and just they'll body someone. They'll moss somebody. That's how you say it, isn't it? They'll moss someone. Then I feel like that is a problem of the head coach. However, yeah, the point of Derek Ritter is a good one, but who gets to decide where Derek Ritter is? Why Derek Ritter is their quarterback? Like, surely there's better options. There are better options there. Like Taylor Heineke should be starting for this Atlanta Falcons team.
Yeah. And I know everybody keeps going, they should trade for Justin Fields. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be a fucking shit show down there too. But okay, go
I
ahead.
don't know. I think that would be fun. I think that would be kind of fun to watch.
It would be fun, but you're not fixing the team, I don't feel like, with him.
Yes, you're not taking the quality because this team, their defense is very solid. Like, I like what they're doing on defense. You have Kyle Pitts, Kyle Pitts has always been living off potential to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and he has shown flashes of it last year and this year. Drake London looked really good last year, and I'd like Drake London as a genuine X Factor number one wide receiver. You have players like as a in the Falcons, and I think if you put Fields in there, it would be really fun to watch. But with that talent, you should be looking to be in the playoffs, right? You should be looking to the playoffs and looking at dominating some of these teams. You also have Bijan Robinson, let's not forget. You have Bijan Robinson, Cordell Patterson, and Tyler Algier as your running back room, which is pretty awesome as well. So loads of weapons. Justin Fields to add to those weapons would be fun. But yeah, I'm not sure whether he gets you to the promised land at that point. The Titans are clearly in a bit of turmoil here, probably losing one of their best players very soon. Give me the Falcons in this one. I just think they're the better team in every position.
Well, again, we agree. Give me the Falcons. So we'll go on to the Battle of New Jersey. The Jets at the Giants. The Jets are favored by 3, but the stadium will be set up in the Jets. So the stadium can be set up 2 different ways. One way goes with the Jets, the other way goes with the Giants. So it will be set up Giants, but it's still a home game for both teams on the fact that they both play there. Jets favored by 3. I think the Jets win this game by more than 3, so I'll happily take the Jets in the 3 points because I think that New York Jets defense is going to be in the backfield of the Giants all game.
Yeah. I think if you said when Zach Wilson went down, I think if you said to the Giants that you're going to be 3-point dogs against this Jets team, they would probably be really, really disappointed with that. Like when Aaron Rodgers was there, it'd be like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. But when Zach Wilson was quarterback, and they'll be like, right, either Zach Wilson's playing really well, which is annoying for us as the New York team, and Zach Wilson's playing really well, or we're playing badly. And we said that Tyrod Taylor makes them a better team, right? Like Tyrod Taylor is making them a better team right now, but they still only scored 14 points against the Commanders, and the Commanders aren't the Jets. Like the Jets defense is going to be living in the backfield there. They seem to have some stuff going on offense. Like I really, really like their obviously I really like their run game with Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson is a genuine number 1 wide receiver. Alan Lazard is an excellent number 2. They have everything going. And full credit to Zach Wilson. He's looked decent. He's looked like a really good quality backup quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and I still wonder, like, what would he look like with a Kyle Shanahan, KOC, McVay? Would he look different than being in with the Jets? You know what I mean? Like, is Nathaniel Hackett running his offense? I don't know if that's the greatest fit either, but they didn't expect him to have to play this year, and then boom, Rodgers goes down on like the 3rd play or something, 3rd snap or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know whether Kyle Shanahan's quite complicated offense is the right fit for Zach Wilson.
They say it's complicated, but if you listen to Chris Sims, he always calls it quarterback friendly because it's a bunch of confusing motion that should never confuse the offense.
I think it's quarterback friendly if the quarterback knows how to use it, right? I think that's more where it is. I think people have said there are certain quarterbacks that have gone in that system and have made it look way harder than other quarterbacks have. So
Well,
I wonder if Zach Wilson would be one of them. However,
Kevin
Zach Wilson is
O'Connell
clearly
always refers to his offense as the illusion of confusion.
it's
It's
not
a
actually
simple
confusing.
offense, but they do so much from so many different formations that it gives the illusion of it being complicated.
Yeah, this is not actually a complicated offense, everybody. This is really simple, but it's only simple because we know what's going on.
Right.
I think is more where it's at. So would Zach
Right.
Wilson know what's going on? But Zach Wilson, to be fair to him, he's looked really good
But
these
we
past
get
few
to see,
weeks.
now we're getting off track, but we get to see Sam Darnold, and we'll talk about that when we get to that game. So that's
Do we get to see Sam Darnold? It's interesting, but give me the Jets in this one as well, by the way, because the defense is going to be living in the backfield. I think you're right there.
all right. And then we're going to the first and second overall pick bowl with the Houston Texans traveling to Carolina. Houston is 3.5-point favorites on the road. I got fucking straight killed this week in NFL groups for saying that CJ Stroud and the Texans are going to win this game, and Vegas agrees with me. So I'm just going to take the -3.5 and ride with it.
I think you're in some nutty NFL groups, man. Like I worry
They're
about
insane.
your NFL groups.
They're fucking insane.
Like that's a crazy. Like, okay, the argument is the Panthers' offenses look decent at points. I mean, like Adam Thielen is taking the fantasy world by storm. Sorry, guys, our entire analysis isn't just based off fantasy, but like with Adam Thielen, it is something that is applicable. I took him being like, oh, he's going to be good around bye season. Like he's probably going to always be a solid like 9-10 point kind of guy. And when you're in a 14 team league like ours, and the guy has been scoring like 26 points a week, like he's projected to score 17 points this week. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what happened to Adam Thielen? And it's just like, well, Adam Thielen become the only target in the Carolina Panthers offense, but it's a good target and they have things going. So the Panthers can move the ball. They have the ability to. However, the Texans are a fucking really good team. Like the Texans have a solid enough defense, but CJ Stroud is playing excellent football. And this is a really, really good fit with him. The guys at PFF, when he got drafted to the Texans, said this is the best thing that could have happened for CJ Stroud. Their wide receiver core is actually really sneakily good. Like I really like Tank Dell. Nico Collins is excellent as well. So they have a sneakily good wide receiver room. And their running game with Damian Pierce is solid as well. And CJ Stroud, I think, has the highest throw to the first read percentage in the league. So he reads the first read and it's open. So he takes the yards that are there, and that's a good fit for CJ Stroud. And he at times has made some really difficult throws. So give me the Texans in this one as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is coaching too. The Texans have better coaching, but I don't need to beat up on Frank anymore. The New England Patriots are traveling to the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 8.5-point favorites in this game. The over/under on that game is 47. They've killed me the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to stick with it. Give me Miami plus 8.5.
47 over/under on a 8-point difference. That's quite a lot. I wouldn't bet the over. I'd probably bet the under on that, on the 47. That's quite a lot. The Patriots have looked like at points, the Patriots defense has looked like a Patriots defense, and that should worry Miami a little bit. It seems when they come up against a little bit of resistance that they aren't this crazy track meet team. And Bill Belichick has his way with AFC North quarterbacks at regular, AFC East quarterbacks at regular points. Like what he did to Josh Allen in that game with the Patriots. In that game, like, look, I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. I really like the Dolphins and the way they're set up as a team. I think they're going to win. It's whether are they going to win by 8 points against that Patriots defense. For me, the simplicity of their offense in terms of we're just way faster than you are, and Tua can make these throws, means that I don't think Bill can have that much of an effect on the game. So I'm going to take the Dolphins in this as and take the spread as well. We've agreed on everyone so far.
I was just thinking that too, but so we got the LA Rams traveling to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys at home, favored by 7. Again, this gets back to why I did not take Matthew Stafford in fantasy football this week. I do not want him playing that. I don't want my quarterback in my fantasy team playing that Dallas defense. Part of me wanted to take the Rams to cover, but the Cowboys to win. But I still think the Cowboys are just that much better. So give me the Cowboys minus 7.5. Micah Parsons is going to wreak fucking havoc. That secondary, even without Diggs, is a good secondary. The Cowboys line is something you really have to deal with, defensive line. And the Rams offensive line look good at times, but also at times looks very bad.
Yeah, the Rams offensive line is going to be the talking point of this entire game. I think it's going to be the main focus of the game. I said this at some point last week where the Rams offensive line has the potential to look like it did last year, and then it becomes a fucking shooting fish in a battle for Micah Parsons and that defensive line. Matthew Stafford's not going to get away from anything. However, when you have Cooper Kupp and Samoan Cooper Kupp providing really nice routes and really quick get the ball out fast, routes, then that kind of takes away the defensive line for me. I also think their running game is really good. I'd like the Rams offensive side of the ball if the offensive line can hold up. With that also being said, Aaron Donald is on their defensive side of the ball. Let's see if we can get any form of a run game, because if we don't have a form of a run game, then Dak Prescott can't play, it seems. I would like in this game Mike McCarthy to loosen the reins a little bit on Dak and let's actually go out and try and score some points this week, rather than saying, oh yeah, our defense has got it, we'll just run the ball and we'll only take field goals. Let's see if we fucking got something in the tank in terms of creativity. I'm going to take the Rams in this one. I'm going to take the Cowboys to win, the Rams to be within 7.
Before we go on, I want to touch base on what you said. Part of the reason I think how you neutralize Aaron Donald, swing passes, screens, sweeps. I think Pollard, and I think you guys got the skill guys to do those kinds of things on the offense. I think that short passing game and sweeps are a way to be the running game against them, to slow down Aaron Donald in that pass rush. And also with Kupp and Nakua, thank you. I think that you guys do have the talent in the secondary with your safeties and corners to jump those slant routes that they use to get that over the middle of the field. I don't think with the Cowboys, the middle of the field is open as much as it is with other teams when Nakua or like a Cooper Kupp go off. And I think that's going to cause problems for Stafford. And I think one of the things the Cowboys do good is to take your hot read away. And if you get pressure and they don't have a hot read to get to, then that's when Micah Parsons and the rest of that defensive line become a problem. Lawrence, everybody, getting to eat, as Zeke would used to say for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think the ball's got to come out quickly if you're playing the Cowboys defensive line. But if you're getting the ball out quickly and they're starting to have to drop people in coverage to cover the middle of the field, then I worry about Tutu Atwell. I think that the Rams trio of wide receivers is pretty awesome. Tutu Atwell takes a little bit longer for his routes to develop because they're often really far downfield. He's their speed downfield guy. And without Trevor, Diggs would be the person who'd be kind of monitoring that for me. And you have Bland and you have Stephon Gilmore taking care of Kupp and Nakua. I worry about that.
Kupp is not lightning fast. As amazing as he is, he is not lightning fast. So Gilmore is going to be all over him all day.
Yeah, so Gilmore's that's Gilmore's game right there. Like when you have Gilmore, when we had Gilmore and Diggs, you're like, yes, awesome, like feeling really good about that. So let's see. I worry about Tutu Atwell
I
having a pretty
pick
big
on
day.
Gilmore for being old, but he is still good. You just don't want him on a super fast guy halfway down the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you have the complementary pieces for Gilmore, he becomes even better, which we did have until Diggs got injured. But yeah,
Bland's pretty good,
I
though.
worry
You've been
about
saying
Tutu
it
Atwell
for a
having a big
year,
day.
but the rest of the world finally has to look at Bland and see that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Bland is excellent. Bland is a 5th round draft pick, and is easily the caliber of a starting cornerback. Like if Diggs, Gilmore, and Bland, I would say together would be maybe the second best secondary in the NFL behind the Jets secondary.
Okay. I mean, there's other ones we can throw in there, but I can't argue that either because anything you bring up is just arguable at this point.
Fair enough.
The Cowboys defense is fucking, even without Diggs, there's some monsters over there. So I think the Rams have their hands full all day. But
look, I'll be disappointed if we lose. We just haven't been putting teams away if the team has any form of talent. And I think this Rams team is extremely well coached. I think they win the coaching battle on their sideline as well.
All right, now we're going to the Jags at the Steelers. The Jags are on the road, favored. So they're -2 at the Steelers with a 41 over under. Give me the Jags. I like the way the Jags have been playing. They're not lighting the world on fire, but I like what they're doing. I don't trust the Steelers' offense at all. They don't get Pickens involved nearly enough. Their running game gets smacked in the mouth most of the time. And they have their defense is not the old Steelers defense anymore.
Yeah, I mean, looking at sack Matt Canada, get rid of him. He's like, they have weapons. Kenny Pickett is a serviceable enough quarterback that your offense can't look this bad. Like you can't like Kenny Pickett. Sorry, they do that so much on like a commentary where they confuse Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. By the way, it's quite fun to watch them do it because I do it on here all the time as well.
Because sometimes I do it.
Yeah, I do it all the time on here, or the whole time. But we should be hearing their name one after the other more often. We should be hearing Pickett throws it to Pickens for however many yards, but we don't because Matt Canada doesn't scheme anybody open. His scheme, no one is open.
Pickens is a fucking freak of nature, and the world doesn't get to know it because Matt Canada is in Pittsburgh. Like literally, a lot of casual fans have no idea who Pickens is.
Yeah, imagine if you put Pickens in motion. Just imagine this crazy idea that you put your best wide receiver in motion.
I'm just gonna say, there's a new idea in the NFL. Put him in motion.
Ooh, oh my god. We do a play action pass to Najee Harris after Pickens is motioned away from their best cornerback. What the fuck? Oh my god, it is an absolute game changer. But yes, like they don't get the ball to Pickens enough. The Jags defense is also actually pretty good as well. Like I don't think the Jags defense gets enough. And also their offense has got definitely enough with Trevor Lawrence, and they've got the wide receiver options to put away the Steelers. Like TJ Watt is great and everything, but the Steelers, you're very right in saying the Steelers defense aren't the Steelers defense.
I would take Micah, but I think there is a real argument when people say TJ Watt is better than Micah Parsons. I don't have a problem with people who say that. That's how good TJ is. Granted, I would take Micah Parsons, but I don't have a problem with the argument. TJ is a monster, but he doesn't have that defense around him anymore. And at some point, and I love the guy, I hate to say this, but at some point, Mike Tomlin's job's got to be in question.
Yeah, is Mike Tomlin responsible for player and coach acquisition? Is he head coach and GM, or is he just head coach and he's given the guys that he's told to work with? Because then Matt Canada becomes his fault. as well.
Yeah, he hired Matt Canada. He brought
So
him on.
he hires exactly.
And his GM gives him what he wants. Do you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
a dictatorship. Yeah.
Yeah, but Tomlin's defense looks better if Canada can actually score some points and keep them off the field. And Kenny Pickett is getting hard done by in this as well, because I think Kenny Pickett is definitely at least a backup quarterback in the NFL, but he's probably one of the top 20, maybe 32. Like he's probably one of the top. He's definitely a starting quarterback in the NFL from what I've seen, but he has no motion. Like there is no motion in the offense. There is talent in the offense, but it's not being utilized at all. And you've got to feel sorry for Kenny Pickett in that situation. So
I
with
am
all of that,
watching
give me the.
I am
Yeah.
watching UCLA play Colorado right now, and both teams are running motion on almost every play, and it's college.
Yeah, it's like Matt Canada doesn't even have a college. They just line up and just run straight and run this route, and you will run this route. And it's obviously the Steelers will run some form of motion this week and being hyperbolic, but nowhere near as much. And they don't. It's just not the right motion either. Also, Pat Fryermuth's on IR, and he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, all round tight ends in the NFL. So
Does that mean
doesn't
you're
help.
taking the Jags also?
Yeah, give me the Jags on that one.
All right. All right. Well, the Minnesota Vikings will be traveling to my hometown of Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Vikings are 1-point favorites on the road. If we lose to that fucking Packer team, I will be so fucking pissed off. I literally think that my pick of 11-6 this year is still a real possibility for this Vikings team. So give me the Vikings. I like what they're doing even without Justin Jefferson. I feel like the Vikings are on the rise and the Packers are on the downfall. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Jordan Love. And I know they have some skilled players, but their defense hasn't been as good as I thought they were going to be this year either. The Packers have some problems, and I wonder if it boils down to a lot about Matt LaFleur because we've never seen him have to run a team without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, the Vikings schedule coming off is super soft now as well. So Packers, Falcons, and then the Saints, which is like because of that Saints
Broncos
defense, and then you've got Broncos, Bears, Raiders, and then it's Bengals, Lions, and then Packers, Lions again. So the last four, apart from that Packers game, are slippery games. I mean,
and the Bengals ain't playing like the Bengals this year. And
the Lions have just got their asses handed to them by the Ravens as well. So there's like that schedule is super soft now coming up. So that 49ers win makes a huge difference because you get that win there and then you're in this soft underbelly of schedule. Wouldn't it be the most Vikings thing ever to beat the 49ers and then lose?
Oh, sorry. I read something that said the Vikings, if they win this game, have almost a 66% chance of making the playoffs, according to PFF, because of the schedule. And if they lose this game, they have like a 33% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's because I guess with the way that you guys started, it's got to be to win the division. But
well, no, because I mean, come on, there's going to be teams that the seventh team is going to have 9 wins.
Yeah. I see your chances as better than 30%, even if you lose this game. Like
they're just going, but PFF takes into account. I read what they did. They take into account records, strength of schedules with teams left, that kind of thing, and then they came up with some formula to give out a percentage of what their chances were of making it to the playoffs.
Yeah, are you favorite in every single game apart from maybe the Lions
and the Bengals?
Maybe the Bengals, depending on how good Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow's continuing this upward trend, like, are you then the favorite in every single game going down to the wire?
Nobody wants to say that Kirk Cousins should be in the MVP conversation.
Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in the NFL at the moment. If we started quarterback, like if we all wiped our memories from before the start of this season, Kirk Cousins would be considered the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's still like, dude, half the Viking fans, every day it's a battle in those groups between people who want Kirk and people who want Kirk gone. And I think the people who want Kirk gone are completely insane, and they always bring up cap money, and it's like, bring in a rookie and build around him. Like, do you know how many rookies fail at regular positions, let alone quarterback? Like, fuck. Can we stop?
I think there's got to be a chance that a lot of those guys are Packers fans, right? Just trying to sow discontent.
That actually gets called out, and they're like, "Oh, these got to be trolling Packer fans." Like,
yeah, gotta be. Because I know in the Cowboys and Eagles chats, I know there's loads of Cowboys in the Eagles chats. I know there's loads of Eagles in the Cowboys chats. Like, I imagine you guys have very similar things going on. It would be the most Vikings thing of all time to beat the 49ers and lose to the really poorly constructed Packers.
The last time the Vikings won a game by more than one score, actually, I think last time they played a game that was decided by less than one score was week 1 last year when they beat the Packers by more than one score. So maybe we can duplicate that now.
Yeah, maybe get things rolling. Now, not that they haven't been rolling, actually. Also, Jordan Addison is fucking unbelievable. You have 2 wide receiver ones. So losing Justin Jefferson, obviously that's hard for everybody, but you guys are able to cover that when your schedule's this week coming down there.
And then get him healthy in another 2 weeks and get him back into the fray before we hit that last 4-game run against the Bengals, Packers, and the Lions twice. They have a chance. If they can do it, they literally have a chance to turn this whole season around after everybody said we were dead.
I think like you possibly could win every single game. Let's say you split the Lions and lose to the Bengals, then you've still only got, what's that,
That's
6
12
losses.
and 5.
So
we have 4 losses. Right, so that'd be 12 and 5. And before the season,
if you split the Lions and lost to the Bengals.
Oh, yeah. Then it finishes right 6. At the 11-6 I picked at the beginning of the year.
11-6, which is still enough. 11-6 is still enough. Also, Brian Flores' defense is taking hold. By the way, that's the biggest difference that I saw from the start of the season to now. Like, obviously, the fumbles, I think fumble problems like the ones that you guys had are more of just a total anomaly rather than it's a genuine issue. But the biggest difference is your defense looks like it actually gives a fuck. Like, it looks like it cares. And like they're flying to the ball. What was the spread in this one?
1.
Vikings then, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to take the money line, but every time I do that, it fucking punches me in the face. So just give me the Vikings -1.
Yeah, 1 is crazy, by the way. Like,
I think so too. I think it's fucking insane.
That's crazy. What have the Packers done to say that? That's weird.
All right, we don't have to beat that dead horse. We got the New Orleans Saints traveling to the Indianapolis Colts. The Saints are -2 at the Colts. That Saints defense is tough. Gardner Minshew can throw for 300 yards, but he can throw for 3 interceptions right along with it. I went back and forth, but give me the Saints -2.
So many early window games this week. Like, why were there so many teams on a bye last week and then nobody is on a bye this week? This is really interesting. What was the spread again?
-2. The New Orleans Saints favored -2.
Their red zone issues are pretty crazy. I feel like the Colts with Jonathan Taylor are now able to control the ball a lot more, and it gives Gardner Minshew less opportunity to throw interceptions. Derek Carr showed us something that Derek Carr never shows us, and that's him losing his rag and emotion last week. I think the red zone issues become really, really, really frustrating, and I think they're going to find that difficult to overcome. I'm going to take the Colts on this one.
Nice. All right. Well, the Cleveland Browns traveling to the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites at home. That Browns defense is tough, but that offense is scary. But I'm going to go with my gut on this one. Something tells me take the Browns plus 3.5. So I'm taking the Browns plus 3.5 on the road.
Do we know who the Browns are starting at quarterback? Who they've picked to start a quarterback?
Is DTR healthy? I don't even know.
I think DTR had such a bad outing. Is it PJ Walker? It's PJ Walker, isn't it?
Oh, it probably is
It was
PJ Walker. Yeah.
Yeah, PJ Walker's. Oh no, yeah, PJ Walker started for them last week and threw for 15 of 32 on
Yeah,
178
he'll take the field
yards
this
and
week
one
too.
interception.
Yeah.
On a 39-point game, your quarterback threw for 178 yards. And then your lead rusher only ran for 74.
Yeah, it's wild. 3 interceptions, right?
Yeah, 3 interceptions. So that'll do it. Yeah. So the Browns defense is terrifying, really top tier defense, probably the best in the NFL. When we were talking TJ Watt, Micah Parsons earlier, it took everything to say to not put Myles Garrett into the conversation, but that would have really sidetracked us. Myles Garrett is elite, and with some actual help now on the defensive line, then
Zadarius Smith over there helps. Yeah,
makes all sorts of difference having Zadarius Smith. So he's now able to move around. He doesn't have to, and he can get away from their strongest. He can get away from double teams a lot easier now. So yeah, the Browns defense is terrifying. However, the Seahawks under Carroll look like a Pete Carroll team, which they did in the first game of the season, which he very well picked up, I remember. Geno Smith is more than efficient, and their defense is also excellent enough to deal with PJ Walker. Give me the Seahawks in this one.
All right.
I'll take the Seahawks in this one.
Let's talk some Ravens at the Cardinals. This is the biggest point spread of the week, and it is the Ravens at the Cardinals minus 10.
Classic bettors taking what I've seen recently, and the Ravens hammering the Lions, but that game was over at halftime, and the Lions looked like they just threw in the towel. Like, it looked like they capitulated in the first half, and then they just didn't want to show any fight back. The Cardinals are such a difficult team because when you've got one win, it's very difficult to say that they're good. But they've been in games. Like, they've definitely been in games a lot more than we thought they would. The Baltimore Ravens offense before last week has not looked great. However, last week they looked fucking unstoppable, and Lamar Jackson was Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is also 16-1 against the NFC. So the Cardinals play hard and they keep it within 10 points, but the Ravens win.
I'm probably going to regret this. Give me the Ravens minus the 10.
Those big point spreads have been pretty woeful so far this year.
And they always are. I hate double-digit spreads, and I still have bit into my own hatred for them and still taking them. But I like what the Ravens are doing, and I just think that I think they're rolling right now. So give me the Ravens minus the 10. So we'll move on to Cincinnati going to San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by 5.5, so they're minus 5.5 on San Francisco, with Sam Darnold starting as quarterback.
It seems that Brock Purdy maybe has passed they're confident that Brock Purdy may have passed protocol.
Well, all I know is this year, not one single player who's been in protocol has played the next Sunday.
ESPN report 8 hours ago, 49ers QB Brock Purdy clears concussion protocol and will start against the Bengals.
I wanted to see Sam Darnold. That's some bullshit.
I wanted to see Sam Darnold. I picked up Sam Darnold, and I now have Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold on my fantasy team just in case going up for Saturday. So going up for Sunday. So I took Sam Darnold. I was excited. I wanted to see, one, is Sam Darnold actually any good because you think he's trash and I think he has some elements of good player in him. And also, Kyle Shanahan thinks he's the second coming of Steve Young. So
if anybody can get it out of Sam Darnold, it would be that San Francisco offense. They loved him in the offseason.
yeah.
I don't care who's starting at quarterback, though. Give me the San Francisco 49ers minus the 5.5.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't see the difference that Brock Purdy makes in this game. I'm not sure. Yeah, I know.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wish
I know.
Payne Gusto was tapped in right now to see that because that would just really hurt him. But
Buck should have won that game if Godwin looked up on a Hail
that
Mary.
fucking is the most open fucking
won.
Hail Mary I have ever seen. Baker threw a 63-yard perfect throw. And Godwin just had to turn around. But in fairness, Godwin was being dragged across the fucking field. And at the moment,
there were at least 5 counts of pass interference on that play as well. And the refs bottled it, by the way. Like the refs said, oh, we can't call pass interference here.
They never do on a Hail Mary. They never call it.
I know,
never.
I know they never do. That was egregious. Like Chris
agree.
Godwin and Mike Evans, that's beyond a penalty. That's like grievous bodily harm. What was going on there? Like they should have called the police rather than thrown the flag on those fouls. But anyway, Josh Allen isn't the best quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, I'm not sure what massive points difference Purdy makes in playing in this game. I reckon I think I remember listening to PFF and them saying it was a 3-point spread 2 days ago. So I guess Brock Purdy playing gives them 2 points.
And according to fantasy, Debo's out again.
Yeah, I mean, give me the Bengals.
You know what? I'm switching my pick.
Slide.
Give me the Bengals for the upset. The 49ers are on a slide. I'm switching my pick.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are on. I think the Bengals are on the up. I think the 49ers are on a slide. Look, I don't think that the 49ers are this awful team. I just think that the Bengals are better than we're going to give them credit for here.
And the money line.
Okay, give me the Bengals and the points. I'm not this.
The Bengals are going to win this game, and the 49ers are on a slide. I just convinced myself. Give me the Bengals and the money line.
Yeah, look, the 49ers. And would it have been worth sitting Purdy this week? Like you have the ability to sit him and just say, right, okay, take a breather, come back again. Because Nick Wright very rightly said if he's got a serious concussion and throws 2 interceptions, then we give him the pass, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, we give him the pass. Let's put him in concussion protocol and sit him down because they're still going to make the playoffs. This 49ers team, they've played 3 good teams in a row, and I think this is going to be their 3rd loss.
There we go. All right, let's talk some Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Chargers, maybe a get-right game for the Chargers. Chargers are minus 8.5 favorites at home. I think the Chargers win, but give me the Bears and the points.
How's this a primetime game? That's what I want to know. I'm excited to watch Herbert against this Bears defense. Hopefully he'll have some time to actually make reads, be able to throw the ball. Because the Bears aren't getting any pressure. Give me the Chargers in this one, plus the points.
All right. I took the Bears, Maddie. That should have shocked you.
Yeah, that has shocked me. That's why I didn't really know what to say. Normally, I would give a big spiel on like, oh, the Bears are playing their backup quarterback, and the Chargers defensive line has started being able to get pressure. But you just threw me away and took my breath away. So I just couldn't speak.
All right. Well, we'll finish off with Monday Night Football. The Raiders traveling to the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 8-point favorites. If you ever need a get right game after a bad loss, the Raiders are the team you get. Give me the Lions -8.
So the Cowboys always play on Thanksgiving, right? The Raiders should always play the last game before Halloween. Like, if there was going to be a holiday for the Las Vegas Raiders, it would be Halloween, right? Gotta be. Like, their fans dressing up as the Black Hole. That the Raiders should always play a home game for you guys, that's the eve of Halloween, right? Halloween Eve. But for me, it's 7:15 in the morning on Halloween daytime. So the Raiders should always play a home game at Halloween, and I think that would be awesome. Yeah, the Lions coming off a game where they just got their asses handed to them. The Raiders defense is somebody that you want to go against to get your offense right. The Raiders offense is somebody that you want to play against to get your defense right. Yeah, give me the Lions in this game with the 8. I don't feel incredibly comfortable with the 8 just because of the way that the Lions played, but give me the 8.
All right. Well, there you had it. We made it through a whole fucking episode. Yeah, I hope I did better than I did last week. I still haven't went and calculated yet because I've been busy, but I'll get that done. I know I got mopped up last week though on my picks. So
I think most people got mopped up last week. It felt like there was a lot of surprises last week.
Whew. All right, Maddie. Well, we did it. We made it through another one. Maddie and I are figuring out what we're going to do because we're going to start doing some exclusive content and start our membership on YouTube. So get ready to keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah. And if you like the Saturday show rather than the Sunday show, so you're able to actually have time to put your bets in, then make sure to like this video, subscribe, and we'll see how the views go. And then we'll comment. We'll see how the views go. And then we might do them on Saturday. We might do the Sunday pregame show. We might fucking do both because that's just who we are. So let's see.
All right, Maddie. Well, you have a fun trip. You have a good time in Bangkok. Well, the rest of us are here in Wisconsin fucking freezing.
I am working, everybody, just so you know. I don't just like get to go around and just go to Bangkok the whole time. I know my accent makes me seem like I'm just all old colonial money, right?
No, but you might be working, but you still get to experience all the places you are going.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. Cheers, guys. Subscribe.
Right. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And as always, one world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.